building generational wealth is actually a possibility. It is actually something that is practical. It is actually something that can actually come into reality. It is something actually you can achieve at the end of the day if you are willing or you are determined or focused or assiduous to or pragmatic enough to follow some principles or some certain things which I'm going to discuss in this topic. You see, life is very beautiful when all the money you have, all the wealth you have, you are able to transfer it to your children, and your children can also transfer it to their own children, and becomes what I call a generational legacy. And this can actually be built through what I call a decade of sacrifice. So in this topic which we're actually talking about today, we will be discussing about how you can actually build generational wealth from one generation to another generation. So sit back and enjoy this topic, and you will agree with me that after watching this video you can be able to achieve generational wealth for yourself at the end of the day. You see, we need money every day in our daily transactions, and we need money in everything we do, but unfortunately a lot of us, we are unable to save at the end of the day, or we're unable to have something as a saving or as a form of investment, owing to the high level of inflation in the country and some other social vices that are actually affecting our various lives. But if you are very assiduous, if you are well determined, you will discover that you can actually achieve something at the end of the day. Because most times in our lives, we spend money on those things that we don't necessarily need, or we spend money or waste our money or hard-earned money on things that are actually liabilities that cannot actually add value to our life. But if you are able to follow these conditions, which I'm going to talk about in this topic, you will discover that you can actually build wealth for yourself, and you can transfer this wealth even when you're not there. You are no longer there. Your children can actually pray for you and remember you for good, for laying a very good foundation for them at the end of the day. The purpose or the hallmark of generational wealth is actually to build wealth that you can actually transfer to your children unborn and your generation yet unborn. You see, we spend money on every day, but most times, in most cases, we don't even remember that we need to save some part of this money for ourselves, and also invest part of this money. You see, money can actually be turned into a true cash flow if we actually follow some conditions and some things which I'm going to talk about. And because of this, you can now begin to have what I call a constant flow of cash into your life, and by so doing, you can now become wealthy. You see, you can live a life that is devoid of worrying about money, devoid of a lot of us are very depressive. We blame the sun and the moon for everything because we don't have money in our pocket. But if you follow these things, you will discover that at the end of the day, you are going to live a life devoid of worrying about money, and money will not be an issue any longer. Of course, there is a high level of inflation in Nigeria. Things are very expensive. Money does not have value, and yet a lot of us are still keeping money in the banks. You've forgotten that even when you keep money in the banks, no matter the amount of money you keep in the bank, it will be eaten up by inflation, like I've always said. And at the end of the day, that money will not have any value, because money is actually a spirit, and it loves to be put into operation. It loves to be used as a tool, not as a stagnant element. Because when you are stagnant with money and you are not putting money into operation, there's every tendency you are going to remain where you are. So money does not like those that are stagnant, that will not put it into operation, or that will not use money very well. And that's why money loves coming to investors. Money loves and cherish those that are willing to invest the money. So are you going to be willing to invest your money today, or you are going to squander the money by buying liabilities or things that will not add value to your life? Now, I'm going to talk about some certain things which you need to do for you to actually be able to transfer your generation from one generation to another, to transfer your wealth from one generation to the other. The first thing which I'm going to talk about is that you need to develop your mindset. Your mindset actually talk about how do you see things about life. You understand now? Do you have a positive mindset or a negative mindset? You must be wealthy in your mindset first before you can start investing. So if you actually want to invest money, you need to have what I call a positive mindset, a developing mindset, a growth mindset, a mindset that is not negative, a mindset that will not confine you to your, to a particular level of what of social stratification, but a mindset that will make you to understand that you need to leave the present level at which you are and get to another level and get to another level and get to another level. And that's how you can actually grow in life. You understand? So you need to have a positive mindset, a wealthy mindset before you can start investing your money. So to have a wealthy mindset, you must, number one, believe that you can be wealthy. You need to have that belief. You need to have that conceptual belief, that practical belief, that decisive belief that you are going to be wealthy yourself. Number two, you need to understand that money is actually a tool. What I mean by money is a tool is that money does not love those that will not invest it. Money loves investors, and that's why you see that those that are actually wealthy in the society are two classes of people: the investors and the entrepreneurs. These are the two classes of people that are actually wealthy. Go and check history. You can dispute it. Go and check the facts. Those that are actually wealthy, that are very wealthy today, are actually the investors and the business owner. Who are they? Talk about Elon Musk, he's an investor. Talk about Bill Gates, he's an investor. Talk about this guy Bernard Arnault. These guys are what are all investors. Talk about Mark Zuckerberg is also actually an investor. So money loves investors. So money is a tool. It's not a taboo. It is not evil. It is not something that you need to contradict. It is not something that you need to abuse. Money is actually a tool, and as a tool, you must put it into operation. Now, you need to talk about what I call, for you to understand this concept very well, you need to understand that money, is actually, we come to those that are willing to put the money into operation. So you need to be able to put your money into operation. And by putting your money into operation, you need to be physically fit, you need to be financially fit, you need to be mentally fit, and you need to be spiritually fit. When you have these four classes together, then we can now say that you have climbed the pinnacle of wealth. You must be physically fit. You must be physically fit. You must be mentally fit, you must be spiritually fit, and you must be financially fit. When you have these four principles complete in your life, then we can say that you are now wealthy. Then you need to understand that money is actually abundant in the society. It's all over in the society, but it's only a matter of thing or a matter of idea for you to be able to understand that money is all around you. And how do you get that money, or how do you get a piece of that money that's all around you? Is by creating value in the society. So you need to be able to create a value in the society. Then another one is that you must understand that it's actually your duty to be wealthy. You need to understand that it's actually your duty to be wealthy. As an individual in society, you must tell yourself that you must be wealthy. You must see yourself as a wealthy individual, and you must understand how the dynamics of how money actually works in the society. Then the second thing is that you need to understand the rules of money. For you to be able to transfer your wealth from one generation to the other, you need to understand the rules of money. Now, there are three rules of money. Number one is that money flows to the investor. If you are not an investor, if you are not an entrepreneur or a business owner, you might find it very difficult to be very wealthy in life, because money only flows to the investors. So if you are a salary earner, there's every possibility that if you don't invest that money, if you don't put that money into operation, into growing for you, into developing for you, into working for you, you might find yourself to be very stagnant in life. So money flows to the investors. Then you need to understand that number two, money brings more money to the investors in a period of inflation. So inflation is actually a blessing to many people. Like, people will say that Nigeria, things are very expensive now. If you go to the market now, if you want to buy this or buy that, things are pretty expensive. Of course, things are very expensive, but this is actually a blessing to a lot of people. Time will not permit me to actually explain what I mean by money, flowing more to investors in a period of inflation. But let me just quickly, say one or two things. You see, in a period of inflation, investors gain more, because whether you like it or not, you are going to buy their product. entrepreneurs make more money because the entrepreneurs are the business owners and they produce in the society, and this product that they sell to the society, people will always buy them because everybody is actually what, a consumer. When people buy, the entrepreneurs what will make profit, and when investors invest into the what, into the business of the entrepreneur, they share part of the profit in form of what, of dividend or what, or profit as well, or interest at the end of the day. So those that actually make money in the period of inflation are the investors and the entrepreneur. So tax code, another thing is that tax code is actually what done or used to favor the investors. As an investor, the amount of money you pay as tax is reduced to the barest minimum compared to what, to somebody that is actually employed or an employee. Do you get it now? So I'm talking about employee here. I'm not talking about employers of labor. I'm talking about employee. So if you're an employee, you pay tax at the end of the day, and the tax you pay is always higher in the period of inflation. And apart from that, you are actually an investor. What you pay as what, as a tax is reduced to the barest minimum. Now, let me give you a very insightful example. Now, this man, Coca-Cola, the CEO of Coca-Cola is earning about $8 million every year as the CEO of Coca-Cola. Why the man called Warren Buffett is earning about $700 billion, $700 million per annum from Coca-Cola. How is that possible? Is the other man is the employee, a CEO of Coca-Cola, but he's making $80 million per year. But the other one, that is the owner of a Berkshire company, is making about $700 million. Then if you look at it, the one that is making $80 million per year is paying a tax of about $37 million. While the one that is making $700 million per year is paying only $20 million. Can you see? So the tax code or the tax system is actually made to favor investor as opposed to the employee. This is a secret that most people will not tell you. So if you're an investor, you pay lesser tax. But if you are an employee, you pay more tax. So the economic system is actually rigged to benefit the investor, and that's why in a capitalist society, if you don't have any form of ideas about how to build wealth, about financial education in particular, you find yourself that you're going to be in a particular spot. While other people are moving up, you are always at one particular spot, and that is not an ideal thing. So the economic system actually being rigged that for those that will make money in the economic system, they need to have financial education. So if you don't have financial education, you might not be able to survive in this capitalist system. Now, the economic system, you need to understand, is made up of what? Of three classes of people: the consumers, the investors, and the business owners. We are all consumers in the economic system. Who are the consumers? The consumers are actually those that consume in the economic system, of which we are all consumers. I'm also a consumer because I buy things every day. I make use of money every day. Then you have the investors that actually invest in the economic system, that makes money at the end of the day as a co-owner of a company, maybe Coca-Cola or Google or Alibaba or Facebook or even Lenovo or any company that you can call the company, or Nvidia or any company. Do you get it now? They invest into the companies and they get paid in form of dividend at the end of the year. So they are creating what I call a cash flow or a passive income for themselves, or a constant flow of income for themselves. Then you have the business owner that creates the companies that investors will put their money into and make more money for themselves at the end of the day. So out of these three, the consumers, the investors, and the business owner, only two people are making money at the end of the day. The people that are making money here are the investors and the entrepreneur. Then the consumers, they are not making anything because they are always buying the product and they are not producing anything back into the society. So you must join the league of the consumers, of the investors or the business owner. So consumers create money to the investors, and they also create money to the entrepreneurs or business owner. So they create money when they buy their product, they create money when they consume the product of the entrepreneur, and the investors share part of the profit when the entrepreneurs are making a profit, because they are the co-owner of the company, because they've actually invested their money in those companies. Like most of us, they have invested our money into money market fund or MMF, money market funds. We make money every day, just like every other investors that are out there making money for themselves. And don't forget that you can actually be a passive investor or an active investor. If you want that topic too, it's actually in my video. You can go and watch it. Then the third thing is that you need to start saving some money. If you want to create generational wealth, you need to start saving some money. Now, you see, life actually happens, and any eventuality can actually happen in life, and that's why you need to start saving money for yourself. Now, I always say one thing, that if at all anything happens for adventure, you should be able to survive for the next 3 months without anything. Even if you don't have any job, you should be able to survive till for the next 90 days. If there's nothing for you, you've lost a job, you should be able to survive for the next 90 days before things start picking up again. But if you are in the position that when you lose a job today and everything is upside down, then there's going to be a big problem. Because why? You are not actually saving some money. So you need to start saving some money. A lot of people do not have saving culture. They get the money, they spend the money. That's the system that we're in now. People get the money, they spend the money immediately. There's no room for investment. There's no room for savings. There's no room for emergency. They get the money, they spend the money immediately. So a lot of people are actually in that what I call the area of the danger zone, where they live from credit card, from debt to debt, paying credit card, paying for easy buy, paying for this, paying for that, paying for easy buy, paying for what I call buy now and pay later, because you are actually creating wealth for the investors and the entrepreneurs. So you need to cultivate a saving culture today for you to be able to escape from this danger zone. You need to save money for emergency. That's what we're saying here. You need to save some money for emergency, and you need to avoid what I call reckless spending. People engage themselves in reckless spending. They buy things that they don't necessarily need. They buy things extravagantly. They spend money anyhow, and at the end of the day, money is gone at the end of the day. So you need to avoid reckless spending. Avoid spending your money on things that you don't necessarily need, or avoid spending money on liabilities or things that will not create value for you at the end of the day. So avoid what I call vacation, expensive things that will actually create a hole in your pocket, or that will not make you to be able to invest your money and also be able to save some of your money. So number 4 of what can actually lead to what I call a generational wealth, where you can transfer your wealth from your children to your children to your children to your children. Even when you're not there, your children can still be able to enjoy your wealth and be blessing wherever you are. At the end of the day, is that you need to pay up your credit card debt. You see, credit card debt actually creates a hole in your pocket, because when you go for a credit card debt, you are actually making other people rich. See, a lot of people love debt so much, and they love taking a debt. If you belong to that category, you are going to be spending a lot of money when you actually take debt from those credit card companies, or those buy now and pay later, or Z-Buy and the rest of them, because it will always create hole in your pocket, and you are going to pay interest at the end of the day. Then another thing which you can actually do to actually create generational wealth is that you must build a financial system. You must build a financial system. If you've been watching my previous videos, I've always talked about building up a financial system. And what do I mean by building up a financial system? It's very, very simple. It means that when you collect your money in a month, every financial month that you have been paid your salary, if you're a worker or an employee, or you're actually self-employed, when you get your money, the first thing is to do before you start saving, spending that money, is that you must divide the money into three parts. Savings, investment, and then spending. The first thing you need to do with that money is to invest first. To invest first, then you save second, then the third one is you cannot spend the rest of the money. So you invest first, and this is how we actually do it. You can divide the money into what we call 50, 30, 20. 50, 30, 20. 50, 30, 20, or you can say 60, 20, 20, or you can say 50, 40, 10. Do you get it now? Depending on the way or the ratio you want to calculate it. Now, what do I mean by that? You must save some percentage of money for emergency. Then you must take some percentage of money for investment. Then you can now use the remaining money as you're spending for the rest of the month. So don't forget, always systemize your money into savings, investment, and spending. Through this, you can guarantee yourself of creating what I call a generational wealth. Then number 6 thing that you can actually do that you can make it to create what I call a generational wealth is that you can start investing your money. You see, investment is the key to wealth. Investment is the key to wealth creation. Investment is the key to being rich. Investment is actually the open door to the world of wealth. Do you get it now? So investment. So if you are not investing today and you're actually saving your money, you are not doing the right thing. So you could be an active investor, a passive investor. You can be a passive investor or an active investor. Like I, for one, I'm a passive investor and not an active investor. If you are actually an active investor, there are a lot of rudiments or things that are involved. You need to have a high level of financial education and you need to create time for that investment. But if you don't have that time, you can be a passive investor where you invest your money and you get commission at the end of the day, interest at the end of the day. And that's why I decided to go into what we call passive investment. Passive investment. So active investment is manually very, very active. Is more manually involved. It involves a lot of time, it involves a lot of stress, it involves a lot of things. You must have a high level of financial education. But if you are actually, a passive investor, you are not actively involved. So you can actually invest your money into stocks, into ETFs, into index, into S&P 500, into Dow Jones, into Nasdaq, into stock exchange and the rest of them, into money market fund, into ALA, into Eurobond, into so many things you can actually invest your money into. So you can invest your money into stocks, you can invest your money into exchange trust fund, you can invest your money into into index fund. So your goal could be what I call a cash flow or appreciation at the end of the day. When you say appreciation, what means there is that when you invest in stock, you get paid every calendar year. That's every 365 days. You get paid in the form of appreciation. And if you're actually involved in in cash flow, that means that you regularly get money constantly at a particular periodic time or period of time in the year. It can be 3 months, it can be 6 months, it can be 9 months, it can actually be every year as well. Now, when you say cash flow, that means that you have a rental properties or anything that you have there, maybe a rental estate or a residential area or a shop or an office where you get paid every 6 months, every year. Do you get now? What I have done there is you're actually creating what I call a cash flow. So there are three assets that you can actually invest your money into. You can invest your money into into businesses, like what most people do. They invest their money into business as an entrepreneur. You can also invest your money into stocks, where you get paid in form of a dividend every year. And you can also invest your money into real estate. You understand? Real estate. But investing money into real estate involves a lot of money, and that's why I don't go into real estate, because you must have a landed property, you must have an estate that are willing to rent out to people, and involves a lot of rudiment, maintenance, lawyers issue, your auditors and your accountant and so many things like that involve in real estate. And that's why I don't go for real estate, but I go for stocks, I go for money market funds, I go for ALA, I go for mutual funds and the rest of them. Those are the ones that I actually go for, and they pay about 23.3% as an interest per annum. Do you get it now? So imagine you put like 2 million in every financial year, putting about 2 million, you should be rest assured that you're going to get about 2.4 million at the end of every financial year. Number 7, you must learn how to spend your money smartly. You must learn how to spend your money smartly. A lot of us don't spend our money smartly. You spend our money recklessly, and we spend our money on liabilities. So you must learn to spend your money, smartly. And how do you spend your money smartly? You must avoid liabilities. Liabilities are things that are actually going to create holes in your pocket and not create wealth for you. So you must avoid liabilities, but you must embrace what I call asset. So it's a question of asset versus liability. Liability is a hole. Asset is what is wealth creation. Liability will create hole in your pocket. Liability will take away your money. Vacation is a liability. Buying a car for no commercial purpose is a liability. Do you get it now? Buying an expensive car that is not generating any revenue for you is actually a liability. Going on an expensive party or going to clubs or doing a birthday is also a liability. It will not create money. But assets are things like stocks. Assets are things like businesses. Assets are things like real estate. Assets are things like stocks, ETFs, indexes, and the rest of them. They are all all assets. So asset versus versus liability. You need to decide which one you actually want to choose for. So if it's asset you're going to choose, or is it liability you are going to embrace at the end of the day. the choice is actually yours. If I were you, I would choose rightfully, and I would choose wisely, and I would choose what? In a very pragmatic way, by embracing assets and not a liability. So there's many things that can actually make you to create generational wealth for your money, for yourself and for your children and for your children's children, from one generation to another, where you can actually create what we call generational legacy. If you believe that I've actually gained something from this video, please time now to subscribe to this channel, share the video, and don't forget to leave your comment on how we can actually serve you better.